finally found the agency to live in my authenticity. Ooh, I got my own autonomy. You could never bother me. Yes, I'm unfuckwithable. Yeah, I finally found the agency to live in my authenticity. Ooh, I got my own autonomy. You could never bother me. Yes, I'm unfuckwithable. Let me tell you how I know. I had to get up off the floor. I had to get it out the mud. I had to finally let it go. I know my mama told me so, but she could never really know that when a boy was getting older, that his mind was getting sober, yeah. But I'm getting closer now. I had a church, but I closed it down. Had to reverse the emotions. I had to apologize. Selling eternity, willing to die. I was just living a lie. Walking by faith and ignoring the sight. Better off rolling the dice. And what I'm saying is that I'm living and I've learned. I've given and I've earned enough for my concern. And if I'm living, then I'm living on my terms. Call it a lesson learned, but it's finally been confirmed. I finally got the agency to live in my authenticity. Ooh, I got my own autonomy. You could never bother me. Yes, I'm unfuckwithable. Yeah, I finally found the agency to live in my authenticity. Ooh, I got my own autonomy. You could never bother me. Yes, I'm unfuckwithable. I finally found the agency to live in my authenticity. Ooh, I got my own autonomy. You could never bother me. Yes, I'm unfuckwithable. I finally found the agency to live in my authenticity. Ooh, I got my own autonomy. You could never bother me. Yes, I'm unfuckwithable. I can't stop loving authenticity. I can't stop loving me. I can't stop loving.
Well, hello, and welcome to BridgeCity Global. BridgeCity is a group of people from all over the globe committed to building community beyond superstition. My name is Chris Mallard, and I'm the host of the Daily Atheist Morning Show, a sister network working in collaboration with BridgeCity Global. I'm so glad that you're here with us for another weekend of Sunday sessions. Since March of last year, the BridgeCity community has grown from 52 to almost 8,000 subscribers strong across 6 continents. Whether you're watching this alone or with a friend or with a group of people, we invite you to participate in these transformative conversations with us as we work together as a community to connect over personal exploration and global elevation. Consider joining our Discord campus and introducing yourself. Speaking of community, if you happen to get here early on Sundays, consider dropping in on our pre-session meet and greet in Discord to get to know some of our awesome community members. Major shout out to Atheist Odyssey for hosting Sunday session watch parties. We appreciate you and we love you. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and if you don't mind, please share it to your social media. It really does help. Check out the poll in the chat to let us know if you're a first-time guest or a repeat offender, and consider joining, supporting, or connecting with this channel, content, or community in any way that makes sense for you. And check out our merch and our books by following the links in the chat. Before we move on to our next subject, or before we move on to our next session, if you find this community and these conversations valuable, as I mentioned a second ago, please take a moment to share this stream so it reaches someone who might be in some sincere need of secular community this weekend. And if you just shared it, will you let us know in the chat by typing, "I shared this"? Send safely, my friends. Now on with the show.
Very good, guys. My name is Dr. Troy Stober, and I will be your host for the Bridge City News. Today is Sunday, and the first order of business is I have a cold. So I apologize for the news with a cold, okay? First and foremost, whether this is your first time or you've been here for a long time, let us know where you're watching from. Our community is intentional about identifying local hubs of support so that we can continue to accelerate the work of building community beyond superstition. So drop your name and where you're from in the chat. We look forward to that. Since it's the first Sunday of the month, you know what that means. The Ex-Pastor call-in show is tonight. Join us back here at 5 p.m. Central with your questions for an ex-pastor. And the cold continues on. Attention content creators, join us tonight at 5 Central for an exclusive conversation with Jason Foe of Dragons in Genesis for content creators. If you've had questions about how to get started, what equipment to buy, software to use, or even how to reach your target audience with content that matters, this is the conversation for you. And also, it's a busy day today. There's a football game you may have heard of. Also, right after tonight's show, Darante will be on the line with Forrest Valkai. Join us on Wednesday night for Bible study with an ex-pastor. This Wednesday, we'll be joined by guest and co-host A.T. Coffee. All right. On February 23rd, DaranteLaMar will be making his second appearance on Maya Adkinson's Bad Science Sundays. So keep a lookout. I can only imagine how much bad science Miss Atkinson can come up with. We're coming to Raleigh in the spring of 2025. Are you anywhere near that area? Interested in supporting? Let us know in the chat. We've created a crowdfunding page for those interested in supporting the event financially, and we've rolled out some new merch so that we can support the event and sport some merchandise. For those of you who are interested in playing a part in planning, managing, or participating in the event, we've rolled out a new Discord channel called BC Rally. Let's let this party get started. Okay. And if you're planning on being there, registration is absolutely free. You can register today. It's going to be a link in the chat. We're also going to drop a link to the crowdfunding link for the Raleigh event. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. If you have some extra time after the show, consider hanging out with some of our awesome members on Discord every Sunday. Our community hosts a pre-session meet and greet and a post-session hangout for those who want to continue the conversation and for those who might be curious about community. It's a great way to make some new connections and cultivate community, so we'd like to see you there. If you have any upcoming community events that you'd like to add to our news segment, please drop your announcements in the Promote Stuff channel on Discord with the hashtag BridgeCity News, all one word. And the B and the C and the N are capitalized, if you wish. And if you're curious as to just how many people are working hard to make this community possible, make sure to stay to the end of the show and peep at the credits. Back to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Troy. Chris, man, both of y'all were amazing. Just kind of having that support on Sundays is awesome. As you can see, it's just me today. My wife is sick. So she's taking a break, and because I've been sick all week, I really couldn't sing today without coughing all over the microphone. But because we made it sort of a staple of our BridgeCity Weekends experience to have some music, we do have some music for you today. So sit back, relax, and let's see if these words do something for you.
Looking for a new way under my skin. out your fighting words, 'cause it still hurts. It still hurts. I'm tired of hurling stones. We're almost grown. We're almost throw out your fighting words, 'cause it still hurts. It still hurts. I'm tired of hurling stones. We're almost grown. We're almost grown. Throw out your fighting words, 'cause it still hurts. It still hurts. And I'm tired of hurling stones. We're almost grown. We're almost grown. We're almost grown. Ooh.
Wow. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. That was Chanel Bailey. You can find her on YouTube. Please support. She has just an amazing voice. That song was originally written by Lawrence, brother-sister duo out of New York, I believe. But right, she taking that crappy little blue microphone to places it wasn't meant to go. Absolutely. She did an extraordinary job with that song. And I love those words, right? You know, throw out your fighting words. It still hurts. And that's such a real thing. I like shit like that just takes you there. And it's just like, as a humanist, stuff like that really, really, really resonates with me. And it looks like we have a super chat. Let's see what that's about. Is it Muttley? It's Muttley. That is so awesome. For the tip jar, loving sausages. Love you, Muttley. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, sir. But yeah, so absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful song. Again, y'all, my wife is not here with me today. She's sick. She's doing her best to get better. She got it from me, so you can blame it on me. That's how that goes. But we can go ahead and jump into it. Yes, that's so good. This was a privilege. This was like listening to Beyonce or something when she was on Star Search. What a treat. We get to witness a global star. And she is incredibly talented, man. Please go check out her music. And just by the way, like, if y'all know of any other music creators out there who are writing songs that or at least perform, they don't even have to be writing them, they can be performing songs written by other folk, but are making music that's meant to encourage and inspire people and things of that nature, that have some stuff out there, let me know. I'd love to connect with them and possibly use them for some of our Bridge City music segments. All right, so are y'all ready to jump into today's conversation? Normally, my wife is here helping me hold down the fort, so it allows us to be a little more engaged in the comments. I'm gonna still do my best to stay engaged, but we're gonna float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. You know what I'm saying? See how this thing goes. So over the past few weeks, we've been critically engaged in a series of conversations on exploring what it means to be unfuckwithable as individuals and as a community. And so, in a day and age where we are constantly reminded and bombarded with what is wrong and what will be wrong and what can go wrong, I find it absolutely necessary to focus on our capacity as humans to be resilient and undeterred, even in the face of oppositional adversity. So, my goal throughout these conversations has been to hopefully spark something within this community that as we inevitably face things that rise against us, we are already equipped with the tools to navigate the pressures of resistance. We've talked about so much already, and next week we'll be officially closing this one out. But before we get there, we can't really leave this conversation without dealing with setbacks, right? It's one thing to see resistance and experience opposition, but when those forces have also succeeded in gaining ground, resulting in some form of tangible or material loss for a person, that hill can feel tougher to get over. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I've come to learn, so y'all gonna have me laughing already, to learn in life that oftentimes the quickest way to turn a setback into a setup is to bounce back. Which brings us to today's message. So if you're one of those people who are already down for the cause, will you go ahead and type the title of today's conversation in the chat? Just go ahead and tag somebody and say bounce back. You know, if we was in church, I tell you to touch your neighbor. I tell you encourage 5 people and just tell them you can bounce back. Whatever it is, you can bounce back. I mean, you might as well go and tell somebody you're bouncy for a reason, right? I mean, if you're gonna be bouncy, you might as well bounce back. No, but in all seriousness, today's conversation is the bounce back conversation. You know, if I'm gonna be a little fluffy, I might as well be a little bouncy. We can bounce back, peeps, and that's going to be something that's a lesson that we always have to remember. That's one of those things that we always have to remind ourselves of. Like, I don't know how many of you have been first-time parents before, but like the scariest thing in the world is that child falling off of the bed or something like that. Just like, oh snap, and this has happened. This has happened. And most times when you do that, you take the child, you call the hospital, and oh, the baby fell out the bed. Most time the doctor's going to tell you, hey, babies are actually pretty bouncy, bro. I mean, please don't go around dribbling babies. But the point is that most of us are not as fragile as we treat ourselves. We are capable of bouncing back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I like, look, last night took a nail. That's okay. We're gonna bounce back. That's it. I love it. If we want to bounce back, we got to squad up. We got to squat up. So in this conversation, dribbling babies, yeah. My humor goes dark every now and then. Oh man. I love it. So we're going to be talking about the power of buoyancy in this conversation, which buoyancy is the ability or the tendency to float or rise. You know, it's the essence of resilience. In everyday life, we all experience moments where we feel like we're sinking under pressure. You know, in spite of external circumstances, we can choose to rise. You know, I can speak from personal experience. Despite all of this charisma, despite all of my drive and determination and grit and anything else that anybody would like to call it, in spite of all of my productivity, I too feel the need to constantly bounce back from moments where giving up feels like a lot easier. Like, honestly, almost every day at this moment, I feel like I'm having to bounce back from the idea of just saying, you know what, D, just fuck it, man. This is a lot. This is a lot of stuff that you're doing. Like, why are you doing this? There's that every day I have to bounce back kind of from that. And one thing that I like to encourage people is that bouncing back is not just the same as pushing through. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are These are different experiences. Pushing through is ultimately an issue of pressure. It's an issue of powering. It's an issue of force, which says no matter how I feel, I'm going to just force myself through it. Now, that's a thing too. I'm really good at powering through, but there's a different type of space when you're talking about bouncing back, right? Powering through, like, okay, yeah, let's go. Sting like a butterfly, float like a bee. And I think that's the other way around. Whatever. It works. It works. It doesn't, but I said it. But the point is, pushing through is one type of thing, but bouncing back, that's a whole nother feeling. Pushing through is I'm still in the race. Bouncing back, this is the reason why bouncing back is a little harder, because bouncing back feels like I've already got knocked out of the race sometimes. Bouncing back feels like I feel like I've already lost. See, like, and that's why this conversation to me is so important. This is why I wanted to do this series on being unfuckwithable, because there are millions of Americans right now who already feel that they've lost. This is why we got to talk about bouncing back. If we were just talking about pushing through, you'd be talking to people who still feel like they have a fighting chance. But I feel like there are a few people out there who are listening who feel like all hope is lost. I feel like there are a few people out there who are listening who feel like there is nothing to be done at that moment. It's not a push through that's needed. It's a bounce back. I hope that made sense, man. I hope that made sense. Bouncing back is about reclaiming our power and choosing to rise again each time we face a setback. It's about learning how to adapt and keep moving forward with strength, even when things feel heavy. I think one of the things we lean into this community, and sometimes it makes people a little uncomfortable, is we lean into the reality of human capacity. Now, the truth of the matter is everybody nobody can carry it on their own. Nobody can carry everything. Nobody needs to have to be strong for everybody. But I do want you to know that you're probably stronger than you think you are. I don't want to make nobody the superwoman or the superman or anybody's hero or anything like that. But I do want you to understand that there's probably more strength on the inside of you than you've really been willing to wrestle with. And I'm not saying because you didn't want to. I'm saying that's the negative side effect of growing up in a society that has more religious superstition than actual education, because then you begin to view yourself as less than. You see yourself moving forward as incapable, as not enough. I need a savior. I need a God. I need something to protect me from the devil. If you have all of that in your mind, then when do you ever get to see the greatness within yourself? When do you ever get to push your own capacity? When do you ever get to see beyond your own limitations? You don't, because you've already lowered the standard. So a part of having people-centric conversations, and forgive me if I'm aggravating y'all a little bit, but a part of having people-centric conversations is reminding people how fucking awesome they are. Like, that's one of the things that shit turns me the fuck on. That's what I get excited about. I get excited about introducing people to their own fucking capacity, because that's what's going to change the world. When we have more people who realize, no, I can make a difference. I can do something. Oh, that's so good. Okay, I'm sorry. I get excited about this. So, and that's what bouncing back is. It's reclaiming your power. Yeah, okay, I took a nail. Yeah, we took a hit. Yep, this didn't work out the way we thought it was going to work. But am I going to let the circumstances take my power? Something that we used to say in the church world is that if I still got breath, I'm still alive. I don't know why that's a church statement. That's just a real statement. So I can say it. Yeah. No, if I still got breath, I'm still alive. So it's not over yet. It's not over yet. If I'm still breathing and I'm still willing to contribute to a better world, then it's not over yet. And this is one of the reasons I want this community to get as excited as it can about building community, because then you're spreading that shit like wildfire. People who are alive and are excited about making change. And so just to kind of give us a few more, just to kind of highlight the importance of this a little bit more before we jump into some practical tips that we can use. Another great way of looking at bouncing back is bouncing back could mean to start to be successful again after a difficult period, right? And again, like this is one of the reasons why I think community is so important, is so pivotal, is so critical, is because yes, we can get together and we can talk about science. Yes, we can get together and we can talk about philosophy. Yes, we can get together and we can talk about politics and all of the horrible things that are going on. But when do we get together to deal with the difficult times, though? You know what I'm saying? Shoot, man. Like when I told y'all I used to be a very, very Pentecostal charismatic pastor. I was the Hadiyadabo Samda. I was the real tongue talker. We were laying hands on people. We were casting out devils, and we were doing all of that shit. And then I did have one of my mentors one day, and he was preaching one of his messages, and he said, "Make that Shandai Hyundai mean something when your members are going home to abusive relationships." And it was a very, was that Kamehameha? Yes. Oh man. But it was a very sobering thought. And the thought was that we as the church had become so performative, which of course many of these are the types of thoughts that led to my deconversion, had become so performative that we thought that as long as we had a good time in the service, that we never had to investigate how many people were actually being helped. We never actually had to check and see how many people are in here praising and crying out to God, but at home are getting their heads smashed in because we're not doing anything other than having performative services. And it's that same critique that I do ask us to be mindful of in the secular community. Yes, man, we have a lot of fun, engaging things that we can do, but man, can we make that stuff mean something to the people who cannot afford to feed their children tonight? You know what I'm saying? Can we make this stuff mean something to the people who are struggling to wrestle with finding some sense of identity in a capitalistic society? Can we make that shit mean something? It does no good for us to all just be like, yes, we're the smart ones. We're the ones without the imaginary friends. Why is it the ones with the imaginary friends that are actually helping people? Like, damn it. So no, okay, yeah. Damn, how did I get there? So bouncing back, sorry, that's what this is about. Bouncing back is the ability to start to be successful again after a difficult period, right? Which means difficult periods have to become a part of the conversation. We have to, and I guess that's one of the things I pay close attention to this in whatever room I'm in, and whatever organization I'm in. I pay attention to the struggles in the room. I like to listen to the struggles in the room. And then I like to wonder, like, what are we doing about the struggles? You know what I'm saying? Another ideology attached to bouncing back is to recover one's health, good spirits, confidence easily after a setback. I don't know. Have you ever been through something before and just like afterwards you felt like, damn, I don't even know if I'm ever going to be able to smile again? Like these are like, we're all human enough to know that these are human moments. So these are the reasons we craft these type of conversations, like throughout the week, man, we're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna call out all the bullshit, but man, on Sundays, this has to be the time where we come together to work on us, to find our sense of personal liberation, our sense of personal authenticity. You heard it in the lyrics, our own autonomy, to be unfuckwithable, to be unbotherable. And that this other definition I want to give for bouncing back is to return quickly to a normal condition after a difficult situation or event. One thing I realized after deconverting is that prior to, every setback in my life lasted longer than it should have. Prior to that, every setback in my life lasted longer than it should have. You know, and a part of that was the way that I viewed myself, which I kind of shared last week. I viewed myself as fragile. I viewed myself as, man, if one more thing go wrong, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know, if this happens, I'm never gonna be like, I used to really treat myself like like the circumstances were greater than my capacity. That's how I used to treat myself. But I treated myself that way because that's how I viewed it. That's how I viewed myself. I was just but a speck of dust, which I mean, technically still am just a speck of dust in the, grand scheme of the universe. But hell, I'm a talking speck of dust and I'm a moving speck of dust, so I can make some shit happen, And that's how I approach things now. It's like, oh no, I can handle it, process the pain, process the hurt, deal with the, oh man, this does not feel good. But you know what? I can do some shit. I can do some shit. I love that. Yes, I'm a large speck of dust. Yes, I can do some things. And so it's that big thing about bouncing back and like, because this is what you lose is time. This is why bouncing back becomes so critical, is because the longer it takes you to do it, the less momentum you have. You want bouncing back to almost feel like a reaction, like it's just it's like your natural reflex. No, bouncing back is just what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like if you hit me on the cheek, I just hit you back. It's just reflex. Just reflex. Bam, bam, ooh, reflex. It's like Three Stooges type of thing. You know what I'm saying? But no, bouncing back. So I've given a few definitions just for the sake of our conversation. Let's jump into some practical ways that we can build our muscles for bouncing back, right? So the first one, and this is a theme in a lot of our conversations, practice acceptance. Oof, okay. Isn't that the serenity prayer for alcoholics or something? Was it Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous? There was a serenity prayer. Actually, now I actually want to know the origin of the serenity prayer. That's a rabbit trail. We'll go there later. But the first one is definitely practice acceptance, all right? During difficult times, it's natural to feel disappointed, to feel frustrated, and worry about what's to come. These emotions can be uncomfortable, but they are normal. And oh man, that's a major one. Just for anyone dealing with any type of emotional turmoil and conflict, I know that was major for me, is realizing that, hey, even when emotions are uncomfortable, they're still normal, And that's something that, it's something that even though we know that, just sitting in that is not always as easy. We want to feel like it is absolutely not normal to be enraged. We want to feel like it is absolutely not normal to be hurt. We want it to feel that way because we don't want to feel those ways. But it's actually like, no, these feelings are normal. And when you're having that, part of that acceptance is, no, it's okay for me to have these feelings. It's uncomfortable, but it's normal. While your instincts may tell you to avoid, eliminate, or suppress difficult feelings, that can actually make things worse, So instead, and here's another one, try mindfulness as a way to accept what's happened. That doesn't mean you have to accept that this is permanent. It doesn't mean you have to accept that this is a final, judgment or verdict. You're just accepting what has happened, and you're using mindfulness to kind of interrogate that with or explore that. You observe your thoughts and your feelings without trying to change them, and without labeling them as good or bad. You don't want to take those false positive values and attach to your feelings. I found in many cases, that's the most distracting thing you can do when you're trying to work on yourself, is attach labels to your thoughts. Oh, that's a bad thought. Oh, that's a good thought. No, just all your thoughts, right? And then, of course, you can pay attention to your physical sensations as well. And this is all a part of that mindfulness. Is your jaw tight? Are your teeth clenched? Are your shoulders clenching? Noticing, identifying, and not judging signs of physical distress can help you accept what's happened without having to approve of it so that it can pass and so that you can process it. I hope this is helpful, y'all. I hope this is helpful. The second one, and this was really big for me. Focus on what you can control. All right. I think I shared with y'all last week that I shifted from years ago in my life from looking for whose fault to looking for whose responsibility. Because I can identify fault all day long and it won't change it. There's a lot of people who have been at fault in my life over and over and over and over again. And me knowing that they were at fault, me telling them that they were at fault, did nothing to change the situation, because fault and blame is just not a position it's not a position of control, even though it's accurate. It's valid. It's just useless as fuck unless the other person is agreeing to change. You know what I'm saying? So what I began to embrace was responsibility for me. You know what? It's your fault, but it's my fucking responsibility not to deal with your ass again. And that's where, man, life got a little healthier for me after that, because prior to that moment, I used to treat it more like, no, it's your responsibility to stop doing this shit to me. Stop it. Please stop. And I'm going to keep being the good person. What? Like, that's no, like my idea of being the good person was being the stupid person back then, because that's what I was doing. I was seeing how harmful people were. I was seeing how toxic people were. But because of my beliefs, I was like, but no, they'll change if I just be like, hell no, the fuck that. I'm not changing anybody like that. That's not my job. But so now the focus is like, no, what can I control? When you think decisions are out of your hands, it can feel like you're drifting. And damn it, I've been feeling like that way this whole weekend, honestly. But focusing on what you can control and recognizing your ability to change course can be empowering. Adversity can undermine confidence in your ability to change your circumstances. So, for example, if you feel blindsided by a negative situation, you may start to wonder or worry that no matter what your efforts, you're destined to fail. Has anybody ever felt like that before? Come on. I know I've not been the only like overly dramatic person in life before, but like you get blindsided by something. It was important to you. You were working on it. It didn't work out right. It came out bad. Something didn't, happen. Maybe it didn't get the funding it needed. Hint, hint. Something happened. And then you said, well, just nothing I do works. Nothing is ever going to work out for me. Those were like, that's where I used to live. Man, and for me, it was definitely a part of that superstitiousness, and that we all have that inner child, right? Inner child, outer child, whatever the fuck. But you got that person that is experienced, so many disappointments, and a part of that superstitious belief was that when you're an adult, all the disappointments are going to go away, and life is going to work. And it's like, then you start adulting, and that's not how that shit goes. Disappointment is still there. And it's almost like as if disappointment is something we're going to have to learn how to deal with. And it took me damn near 2 decades to get comfortable realizing, like, just because you're disappointed doesn't mean you're defeated. Just because you're disappointed doesn't mean that this defines you, And then I realized, like, for years, like, this was one time when I was a pastor, like I put my church through a thought experiment because it was one that I was wrestling with at the time. My family was struggling financially, like horribly. And it was like driving me crazy. And I didn't know why, because I didn't really care about money like that. Like, I wasn't that type of person. I grew up very, very poor, so I didn't have those type of attachments to money. Um, and there's a whole bunch of issues there. But I had this thought one day, was, Darante, are you afraid? Are you worried about being poor, or are you worried about people knowing that you're poor? Which one of these is actually creating the stress? Which one of these is actually creating the concern? And what was interesting for me is that it wasn't the former, it was the latter. I actually wasn't worried about being poor. I didn't care about not having a really nice car. I didn't care about not having a really nice house. It wasn't that didn't bother me. As a matter of fact, and this was the experiment. I taught my church on Wednesday night, and I said, here's a question. If I had, $1 million check, and I said, I'll give you this $1 million check if you and your family will go live in a tent in the woods for 6 weeks, would you do it? And I think we all know the answer. Who's not going to enjoy a nice little 6-week camp out for $1 million, But that simple thought experiment demonstrated that that was something that we all shared in common. That the idea of not having is not the thing that creates stress. It's the idea of other people knowing that you don't have, and that they're going to judge you by that. Oh, isn't that crazy? Oh man, sorry for that little rabbit hole. That rabbit trail, rabbit holes, rabbit trails, same things, happy hunting. But it's that social discomfort that people are dealing with. It's not even always based off of their wants. It's based off of how they know they're going to be perceived. That's the climate we've created. Dang, this is good. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go. I didn't mean to go here. That's right, Kyle. It's that social mindset. That social mindset. This is why I'm very averse. Like, now, mind you, I can be a stylish person, right? I do like to look good every now and then, but I am very averse to this aspect of, like, I don't like just like, because we've created a situation where the people who look the shiniest are the people that we tend to trust. And I'm like, I hope we get away from that. All right. So, big point, focus on what you can control. Everything is going to go wrong can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Man. So, building resilience can involve shifting your perspective. This was critical for me after years of entertaining abusive leadership relationships over and over and over again. Eventually, I realized, and this was a part of my faith situation too, a part of what I religiously believed. But I began to realize, like, okay, I am putting the impetus of change on things that I can't control. And a part of that was because there were certain things that I was afraid to control. I was afraid to be the person to say no, because what if I was violating God's will? I was afraid of being the person of saying, well, that's not right, because who am I to question the man of God? And so it was hui. But shifting my perspective, realizing, like, nope, it is not on them to create outcomes that align for me. It's on me, not because they shouldn't be good people. We should all be good people, but some people are not. And so at the end of the day, I had to learn how to navigate. And that involved shifting my perspective, and realizing, like, there is more that I can do. And for me, that has been liberating. Now, I don't feel like I can do everything, nor do I have a need to do everything. But if there's something that I can do, I'm damn sure looking for it. If there's something in my life that needs to be different, if there's something in my world that I think needs to look different, I'm damn sure looking for something that I can do about it. You know? So that was number 2, focus on what you can control. Here's a third one. Now, this one is probably going to throw you a little bit. We're going to zig when you thought I should have zagged. But this is another good key practical step for bouncing back. Work toward a new goal, right? So another resilience strategy is setting a new goal. Maybe you want to hone a new skill, find a different job, start dating again. Hey, I don't know. Get out there, test the waters. Maybe mend a relationship. Is there a hobby, a cause, or an interest that you've neglected? You know, like, I don't know, building secular community. But working toward a goal can help you refocus on your values and inspire you to move forward. This is something that has become incredibly helpful for me, especially when I feel like really hit, when I feel like I've taken like a big setback. Well, I can give you one. Last year for 2 months, I was without employment. My company went through a riff and laid off about 300 folk. And this was the second one that we had went through. And this time my name was on the list. And normally, oh man, if this would have been 8, 9, 10 years ago, I would have been devastated. I would have been on my couch for days, crying out to God, like, why did this happen to me? You know, and then just feeling bad for myself. But I finished my book, Black Non-Believer Next Door, during that time. I worked toward a new goal. I set a new goal, kept myself occupied. Lost this job for whatever reason. Can't do anything about that. I don't have the control over that. I don't have these expansive networks. So I'm not going to stress myself the fuck out. I'm going to put in some applications some places, and then I'm going to get writing on my book. And thankfully, like a month and a half in, I say thankfully, it's bittersweet, but the company called me back. So I was able to come back and yay, back at 60 hours a week again. Lucky me, right? But no. But I set a new goal and start working on it to help me refocus on what matters to me, you know? And I do want to caution, kind of like all of us, just because you get hit, you know, we kind of talked about this last week. Just because when you get hit, a lot of times the reaction is to fight back, you know. And today we're talking about bouncing back. We fight forward, right? But today we're talking about bouncing back. And one of the things that I do want us to kind of be mindful of is that always on that way back, make sure you're reevaluating your values, right? Don't bounce back towards shit that you're not interested in. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I like taking that time to refocus. This fourth one, it's fairly easy, somebody could have guessed it. But actually, I'm going to change it because I initially had it as think optimistically. I actually don't like optimism. I'm sorry, not a fan. I am not a fan. And then anytime someone gives me a version of optimism that I am a fan of, it's just realism, you know? And so I like to say, instead of think optimistically, is think realistically. And the reason why I like to do that is because for whatever reason, we just think realistic is the opposite of optimistic. And it's just like, no, you know, realistic is not negative. Realistic is not taking a negative viewpoint. And the reason I like to use that word is because I want people to be able to see that, no, there's still beauty in the reality of it. It's not always just thinking on the bright side. It's not like you got to fluff some things up to see the silver lining. The silver lining is actually there. It's a part of the reality. And so your attitude matters when you're learning how to build resistance. Some people think that you're either naturally pessimistic or optimistic without much ability to change, or that optimism or that pessimism, or that one or the other, just a naive view of the world. But the reality is, there is opportunity in all of reality, but you got to be looking for it. You know, you've got to be looking for it. Man, I love that. Empathy is the sword that I would like to wield. Absolutely, man. And so a few things here is acknowledge your efforts and successes, and understand setbacks involve multiple factors. And so you personalize it. You know, I know the work that I'm doing. I know what I'm successful in doing, and I know what's not working. You know, I know that there's multiple factors when something is not working. Like right now, everything we're doing as a community is experimental. You know, like we don't have any big budgets. We don't have these things where we have people who can afford to give a full-time commitment to what we're doing. We are a ragtag group of folk from all across the globe who are doing the best with the limited time that we have to create community, you know, to create something. So there's going to be multiple factors that will create setbacks for us as we're moving forward. But also, we can have the ideology of viewing setbacks as disappointing in one area of life rather than defining your identity. And so that means not letting setbacks or the disappointment from setbacks become pervasive, you know, and then also not letting them realizing that they're not permanent. Recognize hardships as temporary and changeable, focusing on positive qualities and potential for improvement, right? So, and that might be, a lot of times the language that we use is we want change. This needs to change, you know? And I think a more helpful way of saying that is something needs to improve. Because when we can say that, then we can look for the work that needs to be done. If there's something that needs to change, then there is something that needs to be improved. And we need to find the thing that needs to be improved, and we need to find out how to improve it, you know? But that's where that thinking realistically comes from, or how that thinking realistically plays a role in it. Like even now, a lot of the conversations that I've heard are not very realistic. You know, some are overly optimistic, some are overly pessimistic, but it's not much of it is not grounded in the reality of what people can do and the differences that we can make. And I hope that's something that we're getting out of these type of conversations. You know, oh man, oh I love it, man. I appreciate that dark side, man. Oh, man, and I appreciate y'all for hanging out. You know, I'm still congested, and y'all are hanging here with your boy. This is beautiful. And I'm doing this by myself. And I don't even know if y'all can know, but I'm sweating and everything. It must be good preaching. It takes time and work to become an overnight success. What you say? What you say? Like, you know, funny story. As of now, I'm technically an Amazon bestseller, Amazon best-selling author. I guess technically 3 times now, because now three of my books got into that status, and that's because of you all. I've been writing books for years, though, you know, and one of the books that just got into that status has been published since 2014. That book has existed since 2014. So at this moment, over 10 years, over a decade, and it's only now that it's hit that type of status, you know. And I just wanted to say that, because that's exactly what that is. No, it takes time. It takes hard work. You know, people see the iceberg. They see the tip. They don't see everything that's been building under. You know, it takes a long time. This is why some of us, this is why some of us don't like planting shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I suck at planting shit sometimes, because things have to develop underground before they start developing above. And that shit gets aggravating. It's like, no, I want to see this happening now. I want to see what the fuck is happening. But isn't that like life though? Life is very much like that. A lot of the stuff, like that's a commitment I had to make 10 years ago when I started working on all of the shit that I've been working on over the past decade. I had to have that commitment of knowing that when I start writing these things, when I start doing this stuff, that there's nobody who's going to know my name. There's nobody who's going to be in my room. There's nobody who's going to see this work. There's nobody who's going to appreciate this work. So I have to be doing it because I find it valuable. That's the only way there's any value going to ever be into this. I got to put the value in it. And so that's what I did for a whole fucking decade. And it's just now, after the work that I've been putting into it, that other people can say, hey, I think some of the shit he's saying is valuable, you know? But the way that I was trying to approach it long before that was like, no, I need them to see the value first, you know, just like planting. We need to figure out the microwave of growing plants. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Oh, man. Ooh, I like that. Does it count as overnight when it's team no sleep? Hey, Kyle, those are bars. Those are bars. That needs to be overnight success, team no sleep. I'm gonna have to. I feel like that. I just went real Rick Ross there. I like that, Kyle. I like that. Huh. All right. Number 5. This one should be easy. Squad up, y'all. Connect with others, right? Building resilience isn't something we tackle alone. Our connections with friends, families, and colleagues are important in helping us get through tough times. It's not just having trusted people in our lives. It's genuinely connecting with them so they can validate our attempts, reframe challenges, and encourage us. And oh my fucking goodness, if we were in a live building right now, I'd probably go to fuck off on this point right here because it is so good. And I think like this one is real. Like honestly, if we were this was BridgeCity weekends right now, we had the full band, we were in the room and all that shit. I promise you this one would likely get emotional because these are one of those things that we don't often talk about. And I do have a book coming out about this, don't know when, but just talking about learning the importance of relationships, the utility of relationships. Because I realized that many times we just have relationships as to not be bored, to not be alone. And so all of our relationships just becomes somebody to talk to without necessarily having something to talk about, you know? And so I love this aspect because I hope this helps us see some utility in our relationships, in that one of the most powerful things that people can do for you when you're experiencing difficult times is validate your attempts. Like, oh my goodness, like that is such an overwhelmingly positive feeling that many people get robbed of. That is sometimes the only thing that people really want to hear when they've actually tried their best and they've been actually trying to make things work and they still didn't work out. They don't always want to hear, well, maybe it'll work out next time. They want to hear somebody who understands that, no, I saw you. You tried your best. No, you put everything into it. No, that's what friends are for, to help validate that attempt so that you don't feel like you're losing your mind, so that you don't feel like you're tripping. And also to help you reframe the challenges and say, no, you did this. You did this. Now let's look at whatever. We can be more intentional about our relationships, you know, and this is something, obviously, this is one of the reasons why I'm a fan of community. But the fact that community is so sorely needed is an indicator that we're not doing really well at building relationships that actually relate, you know, building relationships that actually serve a purpose, you know, that have some type of utility, that have some type of function. This good shit. All right, man. And so, which kind of like while we're on here, when you are asking your loved ones for support, it really does help to be specific about your needs. You know, You may ask friends or family to offer words of encouragement, keep you accountable, or even lend a helping hand as you pursue new goals. And you know, this is really important too, though. You have to really explore what works for you and what doesn't. Right. So I think I wrote a whole song about this one for me, but I realized that encouragement doesn't work for me. Like pride, like I'm so proud of you. That like not even a wiggle. I get nothing from that. You know, it's not, you know, it's not one of those things that I respond to. It doesn't energize me. It doesn't give me anything else. In most cases, I feel like people, you know, like it's nice for you to say that, but it didn't help me. You know, so you have to know that, you know, because if you don't, people are going to do what they feel as societally acceptable and normal. And so if you're going through a hard time, they're going to think, well, maybe then what you really need is just some words of encouragement. You need someone to give you some encouraging words. If you know that that's not the thing that works for you, you have to be able to communicate that. And that's not easy. I get it. It's not. But the reason I'm saying you have to be able to communicate that is because you're going to want to be able to hone in on what does work for me. Right? When I'm down and I'm in a place where I feel like I can't bounce back, what is it that works for me? Is it encouragement? Is it accountability? Is it collaboration? That does it for me. You know, cooperation, oh shit. Participation, oh man. Compensation, what? Oh, all of that, all of the above, you know, it does it. It does it. But no, you know, so that way you can start asking for concrete types of support. And honestly, this one is a tricky, slippery slope, right? Because one of the things that this one is going to do, it's going to start helping you refine what you actually expect out of relationships, which is something that most people don't learn how to do, right? There are many people who have to go through broken relationship after broken relationship after broken relationship before they ever get the courage to actually explore and say, oh, this is what I want, and this is what I don't want, and this is what I need, and this is what I don't need, type of things. But the more you kind of understand what helps you bounce back from difficult situations, the more you have a good idea of what you want from your friendships and what you want from your partnerships and what may have you, which makes you an even much more clear communicator in your life. But it also makes it easier for you to identify when something's likely not going to work out. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. All right. Oh man. Oh, I love that. Yes, when people real about some shit, real shit, that's when I move. I like that. I like that. All right, so here it is. Here it is. The sixth one. Take care of yourself. Right? This is the one that I'm having to kind of like slap myself on the hand for quite a bit in my own life right now. Is that it's going to be hard for you to bounce back from difficult times if you're never really prioritizing yourself, right? And so a part of being able to bounce back is being healthy. Okay, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. And so it's absolutely important that you prioritize self-care because that's going to help to reduce stress, enhance emotional well-being, and maintain a positive outlook. By investing in self-care practices like getting plenty of sleep, I need to do more of, and doing things you enjoy, which I definitely need to do more of, you fill your tank so that when tough times come around, you're not facing them on empty, you know. And that's a difficult place to be, right? I mean, it's one thing to be dealing with a difficult time, but then to also be doing that while you are emotionally starving or while you are financially starving, or while you are just socially, personally, feel like you're out of the game, like you have nothing, you know? So it's very important to take care of yourself. This is why, even though, yes, our structure feels like church to a lot of people, but if you notice, every call to action we do, we always remind people, connect in whatever way that makes sense for you. We have people who are a part of our leadership, and not one time have we ever said, hey, you better be here every Sunday or else. Because that's just not how we approach things, because that's one thing, I mean, one of the many areas that by being a community beyond superstition, that we don't have to attach ourselves to those type of things. So we prioritize that aspect of like, hey, you're responsible for your time, you know, and you have to use it in a way that makes sense for you. And please take care of yourself, you know. Now, I have to be honest, I'm not doing a good job of modeling that right now. So please don't try to pick that up from me. I'm not doing a good job of modeling that. But please know that that's important. It's important that we take care of ourselves. That's what gives us the ability to bounce back, you know? Yes. I like that. Dark side day. I only do things that I want to do for dark side. Yes. Yes. Oh, man, I love it. Yeah, I need to do the same, Dale. I need to do the same, man. Oy. But that's why we're building out this content creation team so that we can get more people participating in the channel, diversify these voices. We're actually going to start, damn it. Like I'm about to see, look, you see there, like I'm about to just start giving myself more work and shit to do now. Nope. The community, we're growing so fast. We just now need leadership and support to grow at that same route, which is damn near unreasonable to expect because of the fast of the growth. That's not, those words didn't come out right, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. Oh man, unbirthday, so I figure I deserve a treat. I love that. Yes. Oh, unbirthday. I like that. I think that's my first time hearing that. I think it is. All right, so the seventh one, work on problem solving skills. This one has been a lifesaver for me, right? Like game changer. Work on problem solving skills, you know. Now, of course, I told you the way that I viewed things before was anything can break me, everything was going to break me. So therefore, everything was bigger than me. So everything was a problem that was too big for me. All of my problems were too big for me. They were God-sized problems, and only God could solve those God-sized problems, you know. But when I became an atheist, it's just me, it was like, oh, there is no God. So there's nobody else to fix it for me. That was my atheism place, that there's nobody else to fix it for me. And there's nobody to punish me for not getting it exactly right. This is, at this moment, just the indifference of life. And I determined, oh, I can use that shit to my advantage then. I'm just going to navigate the fuck out of life. I'm going to figure shit out and I'm going to move forward. That's what the fuck I'm going to do. So I started working on problem solving skills because I actually started to somewhat believe that some of these problems I can solve, you know? And that's why I do lean into people capacity. Yes, I know we can't do everything. We can't. There's a lot of things we can't do. But man, I'm telling you, the more you explore your own capacity, what you find out that you're capable of is just always mind-blowing. I am always amazed at what humans are capable of doing when they find their own sense of self, you know, and don't feel like they have to fight somebody else for permission to be self, you know? So problem-solving skills empower us to tackle challenges and find solutions rather than feeling overwhelmed. Examples of problem-solving skills include breaking down complex issues into manageable steps and seeking different perspectives. A Lyra mental health coach, there was a therapist that's one of the things that they do is that they help with building those problem-solving skills for building resilience, and that is a thing, because while that exists so much in the business coach life coach arena, where we deal with problem solving skills, I wonder how much of that goes into mental health support as well, because I'd like to see that. I'd be interested. Which brings us to this last one, which, and I think this is another thing that should separate the secular community from superstitious community, is that we should never have a problem encouraging people to seek professional help. Talking to a mental health professional can be a powerful resilience strategy. Resilience doesn't mean that you should be able to withstand major stressors without professional help. A therapist can help you address the thoughts, the feelings, and the behaviors that are fueling your distress, and support you in building a life that's defined by your goals and values rather than your adversity. And again, just throwing this out here, as we're building our community, as we're working on building local communities, that's one of those things that I would love to be a staple at all Bridge City campuses, is that there are community provided therapists and clinicians who are available, for people, because that's what, like, I'm gonna say it until we all get it. Community is more than just people coming together and feeling good and having a good time. When we're connected on purpose and with intention, we can create the solutions to the problems in the world that we see. That's the real power of community. The good time is just the cherry on the top. You know what I'm saying? But it's the tangible differences that we're able to make. It's the tangible solutions that you're able to make. And so, man, yes, I love that. A therapist is like a mechanic for my brain. Yes. Been child therapist. Wow. Oh, man. It's so needed. It's so necessary. Well, I'm going to get ready to close this out, but I did want to end this with a poem, because in thinking about what this bouncing back is like, and then, our own little logo of Keep Rising, and we're still in February, I figured I'd pull this poem from Maya Angelou. And it was actually one of my favorites, just because so many people have used these quotes from it in funny ways. But she said, "You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may tread me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like the moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide, leaving behind nights of terror and fear. I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. Again, those were words from Maya Angelou. Still I rise. And I wanted to pull those because that's what bouncing back is. It's that determination that no matter what, I'm going to rise. I'm going to rise. And that's why we often say to keep rising, because that's our commitment together. Speaking of which, if you're looking for a community to get connected to, or maybe you didn't even think that was something that you should have thought about before, as you're listening to these conversations and as you're seeing the work that we're doing now, I hope it's becoming clear to you that not only is community something that you might need, but you are somebody that community needs. We need everybody that we can working together so that we can actually rise, so that we can actually make a difference, so that we can actually make it easier for people who are terrified right now about whether or not their rights are going to be protected, about whether or not they're going to have access to healthcare. The power of community is that we can work together to make sure that nobody's overlooked. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I am definitely not trying to paint a fluff picture that if we all just hold hands, magical rainbows will come everywhere. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that if we group together, if we squad up and we put our minds together, we put our hands together, we put our money together, then we can make things happen. And if you're that type of person who's tired of sitting on the sideline and you're actually ready to get in the game, Bridge City might be one hell of a community to get involved with. And we'd love to have you a part of this community. So if that's you, will you let us know in the chat? And one of our hosts, one of our mods, they'll reach out to you and make sure that we get you into Discord, where we're actually doing the work of community at, so that you can get connected as we're still getting built out. Because yes, we've been growing, and damn it, we've been growing faster than we can catch up with. So y'all give us some grace and some patience. But that's all I have for now. Thank you all so much for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed this. We're going to get ready for the Bridge City support segment. And so I'll check back in later. We'll see.
Hey guys, Bridge City Support. Thank you all for being a part of this community and these conversations that we are having that help us all grow as individuals and as a community. If it hasn't been made obvious yet, we are always asking for a tangible impact that you can make financial contributions that can empower us to accelerate our progress and development in key areas across the globe. My cold still presses on. If you value these conversations and the work we're doing as a global community, we've made it easy for you to support. You can go through Patreon, Super Chats, purchase merch, or any of the other links in the description. Your tax-deductible donations will be used to support the mission of building community beyond superstition, both locally and globally. If you're giving through PayPal, we'd like to highlight a few options that are available. You can support DaranteLaMar and Darnaya Darice. You can support the content production, community development, community missions, campus activities, and you can help support Help and Hope. That's a chat, and QR codes are going to be on the screens for everyone who's willing and able to contribute to what is likely the most important cause of our era. Those links will be put up for you to peruse. Before I get out of your way, every week we try to have a poll in our live chat to learn about our live audience. If you haven't already, please go ahead and check that box that most closely matches your situation. And this helps us understand how our community is growing week over week. For example, this week, according to our poll results, 38% of you are here for the very first time, and we'd love the opportunity to celebrate with you. If you're not too shy, will you type "I'm new here" in the chat so that our moderators and chat team can help you get connected on Discord? 62% of you have a penchant for torture because you've been hanging out with us for a long time. That means our community is growing strong. Again, thank you for being a part of the community, these conversations, and supporting our capacity to make a difference.
Good morning, noon, or night, depending on where you are. I'm GC doing the closing today, and I hope you had a good time with the Sunday session. How can you not? It's always a good time. It's always good content, good, delectable content. Chef's kiss. But yeah, anyway, thanks for joining us. It's always fun to have people here. It's always a good time, man. We love the engagement. Leave that comment down below. Get the algorithm going. We want more eyes. Want to build that community. Get those experiences going. It's important. We are trying to build this community up as much as possible. And, by doing that, you leave those comments. Another way is, get the word out. Just tell people. Tell your dog. Tell your cat. Tell your friends. Tell the family. Tell anybody who is willing to listen, because, hey, this is a good place to be, and I promise you won't regret it. But GC, where can I go if I'm not watching the videos? Where else can I go? Well, down below or wherever they post it, there's going to be a link to a Discord. And if you know what Discord is, you're already in the right path. But if you don't, no worries. Just join anyway, and you'll have a good time. I promise this isn't a cult. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Who's to say? But anyway, no, it's not. But anyway, thanks for joining us. Seriously, join the Discord. Talk about the show afterwards, or like I said, talk about it in the comments below. We have all kinds of ways you can chat about it, and bring some friends. Also, let us know where you're from. It's good to know where everyone's from. Just kind of see where we can build our own communities at. Really expand, because hey, it is BridgeCity Global, which means it's a global. It's across the globe. Redundant, but you get what I'm trying to say here. But anyway, again, guys, thanks for joining in. And you know what? Time for some shameless self-promotion. I'm GC, and you can always catch me on Twitch, Gamingly Challenged. I'm sure my links will be somewhere, or I'll put them in. I don't know, but they'll be there. But anyway, I'm on Twitch. I'm on the socials. I'm a streamer. I like to play video games and all that. But again, thanks for being part of today's Sunday session. We hope you have a good time.
Ladies and gentlemen, and all the other genders, let me tell you how it's about to go. As we begin again, I'm probably about to sin again, but that's something that you should all know. Release your inhibitions, go on to give yourself permission, time for us to see what you got. Welcome to the kitchen, cooking on the superstition, don't you know the kitchen is hot? And we'll be having good times if you come into the session tonight. You're on the top of my mind. If you're coming, then we're doing it right. No need to follow. If you're tripping, then you're falling behind. Hey, don't worry, we got you.